Do you think you know the whole truth about this war? Wait, what if I told you that the gunfire in Ukraine isn't just about borders or territory? What if there are those who smile, watching Europe burn? This isn't just an invasion. This might be the greatest bear trap in history. Who is the hunter? Who is the prey? And who are the puppet masters pulling the strings? Before dawn, on February 24th, 2022, Europe was still sleeping in a dream of peace that had lasted for over 70 years. The borders were silent. The cities were draped in morning mist. But in Moscow, a button was pushed, 5:30 a.m. A cold announcement was broadcast, and almost immediately, the Ukrainian sky was torn apart. Black columns of smoke rose from Kyiv, from Kharkiv to Mariupol. Air raid sirens screamed, replacing the alarm clocks of millions of people. That sound wasn't just the explosion of gunpowder, it was the shattering sound of the old world order, a pincer attack. The largest conventional military force since World War II began to flood across the borders of a sovereign nation. The world held its breath. Political gamblers counted down the hours until Kyiv's collapse, but they were wrong. Ukraine did not fall in 72 hours, and a lightning war turned into a bloody, endless quagmire. To understand the fire-burning Ukraine today, we cannot just look at the present. We must look at the ashes of the past. This conflict is actually a ticking time bomb that was activated 30 years ago. It started with an obsession named geography. For Moscow, Ukraine is not just a neighbor. It is a vital security buffer zone. But after the Soviet Union collapsed, the map of power changed. NATO, the world's most powerful military alliance, marched east, step by step, closing in on Russia's red line. The Maidan Revolution in 2014, the flames of separatism in Donbass, and the annexation of Crimea were merely stops on the road to today's abyss. When diplomacy reached a dead end and the fear for security overpowered reason, war became the final, brutal choice. However, if we only blame history or the clash of civilizations, perhaps we are looking at the world through incredibly naive eyes. There is a chilling question that few dare to ask openly. Was this war truly a surprise, or was it a trap, a meticulously set bear trap? Follow the money. While Ukrainian cities crumble into dust, on the other side of the ocean, the stock prices of giant defense contractors are quietly climbing to unprecedented heights. Billions of dollars in aid are pumped out. Old weapons are liquidated, new weapons are ordered. Is it possible that war is simply the most profitable business model on Earth? And look at the Nord Stream pipelines, ruptured at the bottom of the deep sea. Who smiles when Europe is forced to cut ties with cheap Russian energy, only to depend on expensive gas shipments from the West? Cynical observers have whispered that this is the perfect proxy war, where the West provides the ammunition, Russia provides the targets, and the Ukrainians, tragically, provide the lives. Is the ultimate goal to defend freedom, or is it to bleed a rival superpower dry down to the last Ukrainian? Whatever the conspiracy in the shadows may be, the price paid under the sunlight is far too high. The earthquake from Ukraine has sent economic tsunamis sweeping across the globe. Oil prices skyrocketed. Inflation is choking the wallets of citizens from Paris to Berlin. The fertile wheat fields of Ukraine are plowed by bombs, pushing millions in Africa to the brink of starvation. Food has been weaponized. But the most painful cost is human. Hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost on both sides of the front line. Charred tanks, cities like Bakhmut and Avdiivka flattened into absolute wastelands. Modern technology like drones and satellites are used to slaughter each other in muddy trenches, looking terrifyingly like the First World War. Over 8 million Ukrainians have fled their homes. A generation of children is growing up with air raid sirens as their most familiar sound. These scars, will they ever heal? Part 5. Conclusion. Every war must eventually end. The guns will fall silent. Treaties will be signed on polished tables. But the world after this war will never be the same again. A new Iron Curtain has descended. A multipolar world order is painfully taking shape. The Russia-Ukraine file is a brutal wake-up call for humanity. It reminds us that peace is the most fragile thing we possess. And on the geopolitical chessboard of great powers, the fate of small nations always hangs by a thread. The biggest question remains unanswered. Will we learn any lesson from these ashes? Or is this just the beginning of even greater earthquakes waiting ahead?